In this lesson, we're going to continue working on the reward crate. We need to make it respawn when it's collected or when it moved out of bounds. We're also going to create an evil in-game object that will kill the hero when touched upon. The crate can be in 3 different states. It can be in play, it could be out of bounds waiting to be released, and it can also be released with a random delay waiting to be in play. We're going to handle this with 2 variables. First, we're going to do a public bool in play, which is going to be true since we're starting off with a crate on stage. We're also going to do a private bool release crate, which will be false since the crate is in play, not waiting to be released. We can use the in play also here, since we know that when the collision occurs between a player and an object, the crate will no longer be in play. So let's set that one to false here. And the function will be, or the idea here is to check whenever the crate is not in play and it's not release created, then we can respawn the object. So let's do a check here. We're going to do an if statement. If it's in play, or if it's not in play, and not release crate, then we can do respawn. And that'll be a function we're going to address right away. So we got our respawn here. Let's create a void respawn function. And we know that when we are respawning, the release crate will be true. And we're also going to invoke a method here. So I'm going to create the invoke method first before we do the actual function itself. So invoke something called place crate. And we're going to do that with a random number. So let's create a float, random range between 3 and 10 seconds. And that should be enough. So whenever we call the respawn function, we'll set the release crate to true, and then the private crate function will be called within 3 to 10 seconds. So let's go ahead and create this one as well then. The place crate. And once the crate are placed, it will be in play. So we're going to change the state here to true. And the release crate will be false. Now we need to place it in the correct position, and that'll be alongside the tile most recently created. So we need to address that from the level creator script, and I'm going to go ahead and create a temp object here, a temp tile. That will be a game object, and we need to find that script that holds that specific game object. So I think that's connected to the main camera here. We're going to do a game object.find and search for the main camera and get the component that is level creator. And there you have tile pos. We will use the position of this object to place our new crate here. So let's do this dot transform dot position, and we're going to reposition it with a new vector 2. We're going to keep the same x value as the tile pos. So just do temp tile dot transform dot position, and that'll be the same there, but the y value we need to offset. So let's do temp tile dot transform Since we need this one to be hanging in air, we're gonna offset it by about 5.5. And the last thing we need to do here is just to reset the boundaries for the hovering effect. So I'm gonna copy paste this one. It will be the same thing as we did before. And there you go. This script is wrapped up. So I'm gonna move into the level creator because we have one thing more to do there. And it will be to address whenever the tile goes out of bounds. So we're gonna do this within the fixed update as we do with the ground tiles. And I'm just gonna add a new case here. Case reward. And what we need to do here is just to set the in-play variable to false. So we're gonna find this object now, and it will be in the reward game object. So let's do a game object.find reward, and we're gonna get the component. Create script. I'm gonna do it in play equals false. And just add a break here, and we can move into the stage. Let's press play and see what happens if we collect it. So it goes away. Let's see if it will respawn. There we go. Oh, got a red one. Giant leap. So the object is respawning. Good. We're not going to address the evil tile here. So if we go ahead and open up the resource folder, you can see we already have an enemy tile here. I'm going to drag it out stage and put it into the game layer so we can look closer to it. It's called enemy, and just move in here. You can see we've got a circle collider, which is trigger is checked. So we're just going to move into the enemy script here and see if the colliding or if it's colliding with a player. Just for testing purposes, we're going to drag this one down to floor level, and yeah, we're just going to press play, and the player runs away from it. But if we move into the enemy script and we create we're going to create a on trigger enter 2D. And we need a collider 2D. Let's call it just call. And we're going to check if it's colliding with the player. So if call.gameObject.tag, if that one equals player, then we can actually do, or we can actually kill off the player. So let's find him first to create a reference to it. So I'm going to do a gameObject.find player. And of course, we need to put that into a parameter here. So I'm going to do gameObject temp player. That will be equal, or that will be the reference to the player. What we want to create here is actually a sort of a Super Mario killing event where the player touches the enemy and then jumps up a little bit in air and then falls through the ground. So I'm going to address this with connecting to the rigid body and go to the game object the rigid body dot add force. Since we're going to add force to this one, we're going to add vector 2, a little bit of right force first. Let's multiply it by 2000. And then we're going to do the temp player dot rigid body dot add force, and we're going to do a little bit of up force as well. So we're going to do a vector 2 dot up and 2000 there as well. So let's disable the collider on the player so he can actually fall through the floor when this is occurring. Same thing there. Do the temp player and get the collider 2D enabled equals false. So let's move into this one and press play, and we'll see what happens. Boom! The player is dead. So in the next lesson, we're gonna finish our work with the evil tile, making it respawn in the same way as the ground tiles, and it's gonna be a couple of them, not only one.